we are designing for our customer. We aren't
Yeah.
designing things just to be like, this is cute, let's see. It's like we're designing for a specific group of women. We're designing for ourselves. And we want to create wardrobe solutions. And people like interacting with the people who started the brand. And as a mother-daughter team, people always, I think, appreciate that and think it's really cool. I mean, part of our brand story, but I think it reflects our values as well.
Welcome to the DTC Insider podcast, where online business owners come to find actionable tips and tactics to grow their businesses. Now, here's your host, Brian Roisentul.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the DTC Insider podcast. I'm Brian Roisentul, your host, and today I'm super excited to be joined by Margot Adams, co-founder of Luxeire. Hey, Margot, thanks for being here on the pod.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. Did I pronounce the brand name correct?
Yes, you did. Perfect.
Great. So why don't you start by telling the audience more about what you guys do at the brand?
Yeah, so Luxeire, we are a mother-daughter owned clothing brand that is designed and produced out of New York City using Italian technical fabrics that are also sustainable. And we primarily focus on making tailored technical apparel for women who lead busy lives, mostly professionals who want to feel confident, look great, and look professional, of course, but also just want to feel comfortable. And we want to make getting dressed easy while also looking very sleek. And so, yeah, that's our focus. All of our clothes are washable, wrinkle resistant. They have the same technical properties as athletic wear. Personally, I feel like our clothes are more comfortable than athletic wear, but they look like a high-end designer suit, basically. By manufacturing in New York, we are able to have really great, sleek, and fitted tailoring, and the quality is really unmatched.
So, something that got my attention when I met you and your mom as well, uh, is that I typically meet, business partners, to be couples, but probably never, at least I have never interviewed a mom and a daughter or met
Mhm.
a founding team that looks like that. So could you please tell me and the audience more about that beautiful story about how you guys started the business and, the ups and downs of working together, of course.
Yeah, it's a very interesting dynamic when you become a literal business partner and build a brand with a parent. And I'm sure she could say the same with building a brand with her daughter. Um, a lot of times you hear about like a parent or a grandparent starting a brand and then it's kind of passed down, or like their son or daughter joins the brand kind of thing, but it's often set in stone. Whereas we literally were building this together, which is also just an interesting dynamic because you have to kind of put aside at times your mother-daughter relationship and focus as partners and equals and value each other's strengths and respect each other in just a different way. So it's been amazing being able to do this. I think it's really improved actually our relationship. We've always had a pretty solid relationship, but I mean, if you ask my mother, I was like the most defiant high school student on the planet. So always like wanted to have control of a situation, would just do what I wanted, which now, it probably helps with our business. But at the time, there was more, I guess we had a little bit more friction. And then now, as an adult, we have a really great relationship. And she's an amazing mom. She raised four of us. And my dad mostly worked overseas. So I have a lot of respect for her as a mother and now as my business partner. So with Luxeire, I'll give some backstory there. So My mom actually started Luxeire when I was still in high school. I was a senior. She was a school psychologist in Grand Rapids, Michigan, where I grew up at the time. And really, she just wanted better basics to wear under her dry clean only clothing or things that were uncomfortable and couldn't find what she was looking for. And she was starting to go more part time with where she was working. So she decided to make this kind of a like passion project. And at first, it was all innerwear. And I wasn't really a part of it because I would help here and there. Like I was our model for a couple things and would help with different things. But overall, I was still in high school and I was going to be heading to Parsons in New York the next year. But again, it was really more of a passion project. She started selling in like a couple small boutiques. But again, it was also sold more as intimate apparel. And the thing is, she had zero business background, almost like comically so. And so the reality is, it was a very expensive passion project.
Right.
And then my dad ended up taking a job in China. And so they moved to New Jersey while I was in college. And my mom stopped working as a school psychologist and was focusing more on Luxair but still with the business background. So then in 2019, I was going into my senior year of college. And my dad had just left this job and was going to be taking like a year off from working. And basically came to me saying that we could not keep draining our family's savings into Luxair unless it had like real potential. At the time, my mom was developing our now best-selling product, the classic button-up, and I was going into my senior year, and I was working at a direct-to-consumer women's shoe brand. And so when my dad came to me, he was like, could this actually be a business? Is like, did she create a good product? And with the classic button up still in development, but getting there, I was like, you know what? I think we could really make this into something. And so I quit my internship and started working with my mom on Luxair, and which was definitely a risk because I knew my internship could
Right.
become a full-time job. I had been there for 2 years almost. But given I had worked at it was a small startup. I felt like, okay, I have enough experience and can teach myself the rest. So then that fall, 2019, we did a couple pop-ups, but really what I wanted to do was take us online. But my mom, she's a different generation, was like, nope, it's
Right.
not what we're doing. And so we didn't. Then in 2020, COVID hit, we stopped everything. I finished up school and then was actually funny enough doing some accounting for my dad, who had started his own business at that point, also in shipping. And then I started looking for other jobs and I was like, I don't want another job. I want to do this. And like, I want to actually build Luxair. And I mean, the job market was also trash. So I was like, let's see what we can do here. And basically went to my mom and said, I want to redo the website. I need a small budget. We had basically zero budget.
You
Zero.
were in 2020, right?
I graduated in 2020. Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you a quick question before
Hmm.
you can, because it's super interesting. I don't want to interrupt. I'm
Oh, no
curious
worries.
some part of the story that I want the audience to know more about, and me
Hmm.
too. Because it's those little moments that define the rest of the story.
Yeah.
Because you first said that your mom was trying to figure it out and selling, of course, things online and building the current hero product back
Hmm.
then, and your dad came to you to
Hmm.
to ask for help or for advice, and to tell you that. So I want to ask you first, why do you think your dad came to you to tell you that?
That's a good question. I think because I often, it'll be funny when my parents listen to this, but they would 100% agree, I think, or at least like 90%, that I'm a lot like my dad in a lot of ways, but I'm also a lot like my mom. And so as the oldest of four, I think I helped them out with my younger siblings a lot. And in the end, like my dad knew that I could be a good sounding board for this and knew that I was working in the apparel business, or I guess fashion business. I was in shoes. And really didn't have someone else that he knew to talk to about this and knew what skills I had. I don't know if he assumed like Margot's going to quit her internship and join her mom, but that is what I ended up doing. And I'm honestly really glad that he came to me and trusted me in that way. And that really ended up turning that turned the entire business around in the end, and actually I guess created the business. And but what's scary when you do something like that, especially with your parents, knowing it's like we were very much a like standard upper middle class household. It's not like we had like tons of money to just throw into something. And so I knew that stakes were high. Um and I was like, I refuse to fail at this. Like, we're going to make this work. I'll do what it takes. And so, yeah, that's, I guess,
Yeah,
I don't
no,
know if,
no. Stakes were high, as you said, and it was a lot of pressure for you as well.
yes,
It's-
absolutely. Always.
and what what was the biggest challenge back then? Was the lack of the current hero product? Was the lack of distribution?
Mhm.
What back then? What did you see that was missing from that business?
I guess in 2019, I felt like we were going to different, like very niche boutique stores. And because everything was innerwear, it's a lot harder to advertise even like to a boutique, being like, this is, yes, here's a bunch of different ways that you could wear it, but really it's easier to do like ready to wear. And so when we had started doing the classic button up, we did a pop up and that sold the best. And that's when I was like, okay, this is probably going to become our hero product. But again, then COVID hit. And at
Right.
that point, I was really just like working for my mom. And again, it was a very different company. And so then in the fall of 2020, I noticed I was like reading up on different stories about like how online shopping was booming. And I thought, this is my chance. And so then given we weren't selling in stores, we had like basically closed down. I was like, let's basically relaunch without like, I had no connections in PR, nothing. Um, and basically I said, I'm going to teach myself how to run meta advertisements. I will retake all of our photography. We got like a backdrop to put in our house. And I sat there with a tripod and just took a ton of photos of literally myself wearing the product. And at that point, I think I was 22 because I just graduated. And then, so I rebuilt the site and then started running meta ads, primarily of our classic button up because it became the easiest to advertise. But I literally had like, it was an iPhone video that I took of myself talking, stretching the shirt. And after just about a month, we probably started running ads in December of 2020. And my mom was like, you get basically zero budget. We have no money to do this. And
Good
I
luck.
don't, yeah, like good luck. But like, if this doesn't work, no. And so it took a lot of convincing. But then within maybe even a few weeks, we started seeing some sales. Well, we started seeing a little bit of sales pretty quickly. But then once I realized which ads were working, and this is also, keep in mind, before all of the privacy settings changed, which was later in 2021. But then it really started taking off. And like with that video of me literally standing in my bedroom, stretching the shirt and talking. And we had like the highest ROAS we've had to date. And so
The good old days of meta ads,
I know, literally. And to the point where my dad was like, oh my God, wait, is this going to work? He started like giving us his business credit cards
So,
to
so
run
one
it.
thing I noticed is that you can we say that you are, let's say, the face of the brand, or at least
Yes.
you look like you are, right?
Hmm.
If you will check out, their Instagram, social media, website, they can see you all over the place. And
Hmm.
I cannot stress enough the importance of, being, as a founder, saying, if you want to tell everyone that your products are great quality, the mission, the vision, and everything that you want, why not doing that yourself? Like,
Hmm.
if you have many other people do that, then great. Otherwise, it's gonna be just, flyers, style,
Hmm.
statics, or it needs to be somebody, and who better than the founder to tell the story in a way.
Yeah.
When do you, if you remember, when did you go from doing that as a need to do it because of a strategy, let's say?
I would say it's always a little bit of a need because we have to spend money. Our production's expensive. There's a ton of other costs that we have. And we have a small team. But I, at one point, was getting different advice from people. And now, given I was young and didn't really have that much experience, I would take it. And by now, what I've realized, I'm like, trust your gut. You know your company the best. And people had said, like, oh, you should find other models to talk about it. You should find this, that, the other thing. And so I did that. And I had them, like, I tested basically like 4 different people and myself talking about our product. Mine performed the best by far, by far. And I think it comes down to, and people, what's funny is people, because we've talked to customers now, and people had no idea, because a lot of people don't go into like what's their story on the website. They just thought I was a model that also wore the product and loved the product. They didn't know that I was involved in every aspect of the business and also helping develop the products. And so, but I spoke, of course, like from the heart about our products because I believe in them. And I joined my mom in this venture because I believed in the mission and the product. And I think that really shows in our advertising. And I was lucky enough to have some modeling experience and loved, always loved taking pictures, loved like creating videos growing up, even. So it was something that I enjoyed doing and was pretty good at. And so it was not only a need and still kind of is a need, but it was just, it's what worked. And to this day, it's like, it's been almost 5 years, and our best advertisements are either me talking to the camera, my voiceovers. I even now have tried like the AI voiceover where I talk and then it kind of changes my voice. Doesn't perform as well. So it's just funny. Even though like my voice, I hate listening to it again because then I'm editing this and I have to listen to it again and again and again. I'm like, what a nightmare. But
Yeah.
it works.
I mean, AI, I would love to talk about that in a few minutes. But before we go in there, you were mentioning that you call your customers. And again, it's something else that I always tell businesses that they need. I mean, this is not rocket science, but we need to do the simple stuff because
Hmm.
that's the powerful. And it's related to AI as well, because many people
Hmm.
want to use AI for everything. And I'm not against AI. I use AI, but we need to, lose sight that AI replace you, or what you do in your business.
Hmm.
The most important thing is to, again, use your size to your advantage, your
Hmm.
business size to your advantage. So if you're a small team, do the things that bigger brands won't do. So you mentioned calling your customers.
Well, we didn't
That's
technically call them. It was more of like when we've actually met them now in person. Or
Well,
even like, I guess my mom has always something she's really good at like as a woman with a PhD in psychology. She still runs all of our customer service. And so when a customer reaches out, they're directly interacting with the founder. And until recently, like I think 6 months ago, we started automating returns because as you grow, for her to be online constantly doing that is too much. But in general, before, like all of our returns too were coming directly to her and they were interacting. And I think our customers have really valued that. I think they feel like, okay, she actually cares, and she does. She cares about every single one of them, anyone who purchases from us. And we always want people's feedback because in the end, we are designing for our customer. We aren't
yeah,
designing things just to be like, this is cute. Let's see. It's like we're designing for a specific group of women. We're designing for ourselves, and we want to create wardrobe solutions. So I think by having such a experience or shopping experience, that's helped us not necessarily grow, though through word of mouth we have grown, but it helps with customer retention for sure.
yeah. I mean, just in case it gives you or somebody in the audience ideas, something that
Hmm.
our of our clients at the agency and some people we talk to on these podcasts as well or everywhere on LinkedIn, like, but mainly through the previous two, it's that some companies, regardless of the size, it could be,
Hmm.
six-figure brands all the way to nine or even bigger,
Hmm.
figures. What they do is you can keep it as simple as you can, right? But some
Hmm.
divide the let's say people because not all of them are customers in
Hmm.
three packs or three cohorts. Non-customers, but those who are subscribed, let's say, to your email list and never bought from you, those who
Hmm.
bought once and never again, and those who are, let's say, your VIP customers.
Hmm.
All of them. If you engage in a conversation, whether it's a call, a survey, or something, you can pick only a few of them per quarter, per month, or
Hmm.
again, when you can do that, it give you different insights. Those who never bought from
Absolutely.
you are going to tell you different things from your VIPs who are going to love everything. Those who bought once and never again, probably there were some issues, or probably not. They were just trying to try new stuff, keep back. So all of those conversations are going to give you different insights, and then some companies go beyond. Of course, you need a bigger team for this, but
Yeah.
one mid eight-figure company, I think it's like $60 million.
Hmm.
Bottle, they say it publicly. What they do is they have like the CX team basically doing what are you familiar with the win back email flow?
Yes, we have one, but I really need to
They do that
make
on
some
the
edits there.
Yeah, so they do that on the phone too. So
Hmm.
they sell a subscription box of
Hmm.
survival gear, blah blah blah. And when people churn, they call them to ask for feedback, and then if there's a fit, they have a script to transition into getting them back as subscribers, blah blah.
Smart.
They have a they measure that and they recover, or so they say
Hmm.
they recover a lot of people from that. So everyone is so obsessed. I'm saying this because everyone is so obsessed about automating stuff, and that's
Hmm.
fine. We need to automate stuff and do the highest level task. But those high level tasks are not the same for every company. So
Hmm.
bigger companies, different levels than smaller companies. And I think personally that the strength for the smaller companies are probably not to automate the same things that the bigger companies automate. It's to be winning that territory, that space
Hmm.
by being a human, the human touch, what they don't have. They automate
Yeah.
that. So do we need to automate that too? I don't know. But that's just an example of that the long way it goes. Like only just calling your customers once a
Hmm.
month, just choosing 10 of them and maybe record that on camera with their permission.
Hmm.
Like some people like have their clients calling on speaker and with their permission they record themselves like this, you know?
I
and
like that
use
idea.
ads and use that for the ads. And that's, according to what they say, some of the best performing ads they have, because it shows many things at once. It shows that they care about the customers. It shows a live testimonial, and yeah, it's amazing the power of reaching out to somebody.
Yeah, I love that. I'm literally taking notes.
Yeah. And something else is that, you said that you do, these pop-ups, or you back then you used to do that. If you keep doing those, but it goes a long way, not only for you guys, but for anyone listening or watching this, why not? You
Mhm.
know, founders here on the podcast has said that, they went to Central Park with a sign saying, ask us about our blah, bags, or whatever product they sold. In their case, it was bags. And of course, that's a non-scalable action.
Mhm.
However, these days, as you know, with the phone, everything scales because it can go viral, and they did on TikTok, Instagram, blah, blah. So
Mhm.
you can do this kind of stuff everywhere. Plus the human touch connection of engaging with your customers in real life and trying to gauge, their interest on what you sell, as I'm sure you experience in the pop-ups.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like for us, we again started by doing some pop-ups. What was challenging is that like actual return in those moments, because certain people will buy, certain people won't, and it's hard to measure. And when you don't have any revenue coming in separately, which at the time we didn't, it's difficult to spend all of your time doing that and then not see a large amount of sales. And then throughout the past few years, we've been so lean with A, people, and B, budget, that we haven't really focused on that as much. But especially, we've done a little bit more, not only this summer, spring, but even this fall, we plan on doing more curated events, etc. Because in the end, what really sells our product is the fabric and the feel, and of course the fit and the look and everything, but that's what differentiates us. And so when people feel the fabric, like their reactions, and we actually went to Hudson Yards with our shirts and did a little bit of that. I want it was like 97 degrees outside, so I want to do a little bit more this fall when it's not quite as hot, but had people feeling the fabric and reacting. And even at one of the pop-ups we did this summer in the Hamptons, people would come by. We had a sign that said like, please like touch the fabric, and people would come over. You could see and hear like their verbal reaction being like, wow. And seeing that and having people come over and actually do it, I realized, I was like, okay, that we really need to be doing more of this now that we have a couple more people on board and can, I guess, yeah, not, we don't need to put all of our focus on meta ads and emails as just two people. And really, it was just me doing it. So, and if we were to do a pop up, I have to create all of the marketing materials, I have to be there, all the things. And so now with a couple more people, I'm really excited to be able to do more in person things. And people like interacting with the people who started the brand. And as a mother daughter team, people always, I think, appreciate that and think it's really cool. I mean, part of our brand story, but I think it reflects our values as well.
Yeah. So I think that every founder listening to this will feel, the same, because as founders, we all wear many hats, right?
Hmm.
Especially when we start out. But I was very surprised in the first interviews that I did with, let's say mid eight figure brand, to learn that they were under 10 people. So it
Hmm.
was like, what? Like the first time I interviewed Oppie, Oppie's a huge supplement brand.
Hmm.
Uh, and the amazing people in the community, in the commerce community. And when I interviewed Ronak Shah back then in 2022, I think it was, he said that they were 9 or so, or 10.
Wow.
So he was like, "What?"
Wow. Yeah.
Couldn't believe that. So we were too many hats, and then of course we grow. But how big is your team now, more or less?
As of literally this summer, like as of right after Memorial Day, we now have, including my mom and myself, 4. And the 2 people we hired are kind of we're contract workers, so hours are a little bit dependent, but the goal
Right.
is to have them by this fall be more full time, and we're focusing on like social media and um like just creating more creative because that stuff takes time. And so yeah, right now there's, I guess, a total of in-house people 4, but that's again as of the end of May.
What's the role they say? I wish I had someone like this working with us because it takes so much time. And why don't you do it?
Was I guess what was that a question? Sorry, I missed something.
Yeah, sorry. What's it's because of my language, like what's like the role you wish you had right now, but you don't, and why?
uh, I guess the role I wish I had. It's a good question. I think I mean, I love the creative aspect of our brand, or like building a brand. I always have. And so a part of me likes still being so involved in that, and even like editing videos and all of that. And again, because I've been doing it by myself for a while, I'm very nitpicky. And so I'm still very involved there. But the goal for me would be more of a, like, I guess, management role while also remaining, I guess, the face of the brand, where I have, which we're starting to get there, where it's like, okay, I'm the one being filmed. I'm doing like, I might be modeling, I might be doing random things, and I'm being filmed, but someone else is actually editing all of that, or having someone literally manage my schedule. But I have a bunch of different things promoting our brand, and someone else is doing all of the back end work would be fabulous. Where right now I have a little bit of that, but for the most part, I am hyper involved in all of the back end while also now trying to manage our 2 new employees.
Fine. So going back a little bit, in the company story, I wanted to ask about the first moment that you saw that there was a product market fit. You mentioned earlier in the conversation that back then you ran meta ads and
Mhm.
you discovered that you were getting sales online. But then when did you notice for the first time that those sales were consistent and there was some huge thing going on?
So I noticed, I would say, in the spring of 2021 that we were starting to really pick up some traction. The issue then became we were running out of fabric because we had done such small runs before,
Right.
and we couldn't get enough fabric from Italy because the mill was closed down. So that created some issues at that time. But eventually we got the fabric. And I would say, I guess a big moment was probably, trying to think. I mean, every year I would say we're growing. Like, we had a huge jump, I would say, from 2021 though to 2022. Um, we started expanding our button ups to more colors. And really at that point, we only had tops actually until fall of 2024. But I think as we started seeing actually very like recognizable names of high profile women purchasing from us based on them seeing and clicking on an ad of literally me with a tripod filming myself with these shirts, I was like, wow, okay, this is working. And we're reaching a target market of professional and busy women who have been looking for this. And what was awesome is when someone places an order and then you see like literally either the same day, or like the same day they receive the product, or a few days later they place an order for double the amount or triple. And we started seeing that, and seeing a lot of, as we're again expanding colors, expanding just different styles, seeing that repeat customer rate. Like our repeat customer rate, I think on average is about like 45%, which is pretty good. And then during the months when we have like a new product launch, especially one that's like really hitting, or during sales, it's upwards of 60%. And so I think that just speaks to the loyalty and us really finding our target. And again, like the women who buy from us are some of the most like hardworking, successful women in the world. So it's incredible, honestly. It shocks me to this day, but I'm proud.
I mean, it must be a huge feeling, a beautiful feeling, when you see that there's an order from someone or you admire, a
Mhm.
celebrity. So how did you feel back then? Like the first time it happened? Or someone probably specifically admired and he was like, whoa, can you believe this, mom?
I guess I would say, because what's funny is, even though I am the face of the brand, because of the price point and the style of our products, our customer skews more my mom's age. Like they're all kind of Gen X boomers. Now that my friends are progressing more in their careers, some of them are able to afford or want to invest in pieces like ours. I would say like my mom would occasionally send like a screenshot of an order from someone who's like, I would say we have a lot of news anchors. I don't personally watch the news every night, but my mom does. And so when we started getting news anchors buying from us, it was like, and then she would watch the news and be like sending pictures of them actually wearing it. Um, that was very cool. And we saw actually one of our customers had purchased from us, very high profile, controversial woman based on like politics, but she can have anything she wants. And she purchased from us. And I saw that and I was like, oh my God, wow. And then fast forward a couple months and I was like, oh, I wonder if she's worn it. And she chose to wear our classic button up in her Time magazine feature. And I was like, oh my God. She's like, and she's worn it since, like, in, um, I guess, she wears it literally everywhere. She wears it on podcasts, TV, like everything, and has now a few different colors. And it's just very cool to see people or all these women choosing to wear our brand when we haven't even gifted them, you know?
I mean, having a great product is a must. I don't believe
Yes,
in successful businesses without one.
totally agree.
But it's probably only the starting point. So in this context, tough context for many brands with a lot of uncertainty, what do you think is the biggest growth lever for you or that has been in the last few years? Because this year is not easy, but last year
No.
with the elections and everything wasn't, I mean, everyone was expecting this
Yep.
year to be the easy one, right? So what keeps you moving things forward and growing in these uncertain times?
Uh, I mean, growth has slowed transparently, but I think, with us having the customer base that we do, people want more from us and give us suggestions and everything. So I think when you have the mentality of creating for your customers, you always want to like make something new, make something better. I think that helps with at least the financial part of it, where it's like, okay, we have X amount of customers that we know are probably going to buy this product because we're designing it for them and they know that. Um, but when it comes to acquiring new customers, I would say over the past couple of years, that has been our biggest difficulty. At this point, we have tons of reviews, especially on like our best-selling classic button up. But in the end, with us having such, I guess, uncertain times, especially economically, you can see that with how people are purchasing. And in the end, we also we have tight margins. We manufacture in the US, we use luxury Italian fabrics. And that's really the core of a huge part of at least our business. And when people have said, oh, why don't you guys manufacture overseas or start outsourcing there to lower costs? And I'm sure if we got some investors, they would advise that we do that. So we're going to avoid that, but for at least right now. But I think having everything based in New York, one, that's a selling point, but it makes it easier for us to be able to pivot during uncertain times. A lot of companies have, and we've seen this, especially over the past couple of years, so many apparel brands who manufacture overseas. There's some tariff issues going on now, but on top of that, as people are buying less, apparel brands have to, if you manufacture overseas, you have to plan all of this stuff like a year in
Yeah.
advance.
Yeah.
And so they're ordering X amount of product with the hope that it sells. And they can't really make any edits, any changes. They can't pivot because they've ordered these things 6 months ahead of time. We are able to do things in real time to an extent. If we finish a sample of a new style and put it into production, we have the fabric, everything, we can launch that product with photography and everything as a small run within 6 weeks because we manufacture in New York and we are there every step of the way to make sure the second we get that first sample, I go in at least, and sometimes my mom as well, go in, look at the sample, try on the sample, and make the tweak. And by the next week, we hope that we can put it into production, which is a huge advantage for
Yeah.
a small team.
So, of course, it's two different business models, manufacturing in the US and luxury with luxury fabrics and manufacturing overseas with other type of fabrics. It's two different businesses, ups and downs. Of course, margins are getting thinner for everyone.
Yes.
Costs are going up to acquire a customer as well. So that's why we discuss on the newsletter that we have on the podcast with our clients everywhere we can. And I see many people in this space saying the same thing it's easier said than done. I know, but it's not impossible. That reducing costs is fine. And many brands should be doing that in something that doesn't affect the quality of the product and etc. But there's a limit to how much you can do that.
Absolutely.
Conversation needs to be, instead of trying to decrease costs only, try to understand and figure, being creative, because these times require, founders, for founders to be creative. So we need to figure out how to make more money on the back end for each customer. So increase the revenue per customer to be able to afford a higher CAC.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
if you don't know what a CAC is to pay more to acquire each customer, and of course to increase margins, profits, blah. So costs are going up. You want to decrease costs, but we need to be. I think I recently interviewed the founder of Portland Leather Goods, Curtis Matsko. It's like a 300, 400 million company, and he said we need, brands need to be efficient.
Yes,
So
100%.
there's no one single thing.
Mm-hmm.
No silver bullet. We need to be efficient. And being efficient is trying to fight many battles at the same time. Now, I don't advise brands to fight many. I advise them to choose following the 80-20 principle, those I don't know, 1, 2, 3 battles that are the ones that are going to move the needle forward, and say, okay, these are the ones that we need to focus on both ends to decrease costs and to increase value. On this
Absolutely.
side of the equation is where I don't see too many brands doing things because maybe they don't know how, maybe they don't know what to do, or maybe they don't believe that will yield results as they expect. And again, it's easier said than done. I keep that in mind. But again, in case it helps you or anyone in the audience, I want to reinforce this concept because it's paramount these days to be able to afford, some people say, well, that's retention. First off, there's nothing wrong if it is, because retention is not a bad word, right? But
Mhm.
second, it actually fuels acquisition because it's a flywheel. The more money you make on the back end for the same customer, the more
Mhm.
money you have in the end is money
Mhm.
that give you to afford the acquisition of a new one.
Absolutely. And I think for us, I know like because my dad now actually works with us a little bit more and he does all of the boring stuff, like works with our accountant, et cetera. He's not technically an employee, but he helps us out. And for him, he's always like, why aren't we getting new customers? What like basically very focused on that and an immediate return on things. Needless to say, he has never worked in the fashion industry. But for us, a lot of what we have been focusing on before when I first started all of our ads and everything, it was just new customers, new customers, new customers. Now that we have some customers, we are splitting that. So it's like we have a lot of focus on our current customers and some focus on acquiring new customers. And I completely agree that with, in the end, having it like kind of putting a certain amount of focus on getting that customer retention and getting people coming back is so important to a business because I think what our goal is, and I think a lot of businesses, is that you're like either you're one of the two, either your new customers or your returning customers. I forget what people say for this, but bring it to where your business is, I don't know, like break even or close to it. And then that other customer segment, the new customers maybe are the ones that help you actually make money. And so I think if you are only focusing on acquiring new customers, once you have a customer base, then your business growth is going to, I don't know, I think it can plateau because you're not offering enough new things. People are going to forget about you. And so that's, I would say, also a challenge for us, though, because as a small team, we're trying to wear all of these hats, come out with new products, and also acquire new customers. So, but yeah, I guess overall, I agree. The retention is important. I think keeping your quality at your standards. I think a lot of people look at a ton of even luxury or ones that used to be very luxurious fashion brands, their quality has gone way down. And you notice that with so many brands. And that's something that I think we never want to do. We want to make sure we are offering the best products for everyone, or at least everyone that likes our stuff.
Yeah. So a quick win for anyone in the audience, and of course for you if you guys don't have this implemented, that typically helps. Again, there's no silver bullet, but something without spending more money. It's
Hmm.
really when we take a look at at brands, it's like we find things like when you fix them, it's like when you find money in your pockets because
Hmm.
you don't need to spend more to get that. It was always there.
Yeah.
You only needed to ask for it. So
Yes.
many brands, your size and bigger as well, they all run ads or many run ads. They all have email marketing and email flows, but that's like tools. We have the
Yeah.
screwdriver at home, but that doesn't mean we're using it well. And
Hmm.
so, so one little tweak is to try to align your marketing with
Hmm.
your customer's behavior.
Hmm.
And specifically in this case, saying, okay, what's the average time between the first and second order? We can go to the second and third, but
Hmm.
right now, first and second order, what's the average time? Is it 40 days? Is it 60 days? Back in the days, you needed like third party tools like Lifetimely to do that, and you
Yeah.
can still do that. But on Shopify right now, they have like a chat called Sidekick, and you can ask questions. So,
Hmm.
what's the average time between first and second order for the last, I don't know, 24 months?
Hmm.
And it will tell you when you look at your email flow, let's say the post purchase flow, you would be surprised at the how off the timing is there
Yeah.
because maybe you're asking for a second purchase after day 14.
Hmm.
Maybe some of your loyal customers will buy. Then, as you said, the minute they receive the first one, they will order, but it won't be the average,
Yeah.
right? So
Absolutely.
you want to say, hey, is it the 30 days, 50 days? Okay, Are we stopping the communication with them in that flow at day 14?
Mm-hmm.
And typically when they buy A, it could be the product or it could be the product type A.
Mm-hmm.
They buy product or product type B. What are we offering in
Mm-hmm.
that flow? Are we offering the product B to those who bought A? And we need to create a flow for each product or product type. Again,
Mm-hmm.
80 principle. We need to go for the top bought products or
Mm-hmm.
product type. Do one for that, a flow, a path, whatever, and make sure that's aligned. And you would be surprised at the result. Of course, it won't be the day at the night, but if you have enough, purchases, etc., you will see that flow converting better. And
Yeah.
over that's only one tweak out of many to improve things without spending more money. And it's not that big of a fix. It's
Yeah.
something small.
Yeah. And I'm excited to have someone working for us now that's helping with the email marketing, because that's something that I've wanted to do. Maybe not specifically but I definitely will be incorporating it now. But the just having more hyper focused segments and editing creative and messaging based on that in the past, and even a little bit still now, we kind of just do a mass send out of like, okay, this is what we're going to send. Let's see how it goes. And we have certain emails that's great for, but I think segmenting different people based on, yes, what they've purchased, based on where they live, based on when they purchased, based on what they've looked at and everything is so important. And I think that keeping everything as people want, I guess it kind of depends on the brand, but for us, they come, at least especially our customer, the people that don't know us as a brand maybe wouldn't expect this, but we want to keep it as conversational and personal as possible when we can. Like you see a lot of email marketing nowadays, it's just like, here's a product done, where we kind of want it to be like, here's a product and this is why people like it. This is how you can wear it. This is like how we've styled it. And here's a review on, just kind of creating like, it's salesy, but also not quite when it comes to how we even present it, I guess. Um, kind of, we're just the way that we design is solution oriented. And so any email or marketing thing we have out there kind of focuses on that. And I guess in the end, that's what our customers come to us for. And so now it's just, yeah, making those segments, finding exactly who's buying and what people are buying next. Um, but it is tough.
Yeah, it is. So I want to be respectful with your time. I know we are in time. So probably the last question for you is
Mm-hmm.
what's next for the brand? Any big plans for Q4 this year or anything exciting you're launching in Q3, Q4?
Yeah, so we actually this summer have had like no new launches. And so and have been focusing more on Q3 and Q4. Um, but we are excited to introduce some new fabrics. We have some kind of textured fabrics that we're going to be working with that are currently we're making samples of and are hoping to launch by October. And all of them, of course, are still technical, sustainable, all of the things. And so expanding in that way, just via fabrics, different styles. Right now, we have like one style of trouser, and we are planning to launch a like more wide leg trouser this fall, some more cropped kind of jackets, expanding our button up styles as well. Just overall, kind of expanding our collection. And what's done really well for us, created our first outerwear garments and dresses this kind of winter and spring. And that brought in a whole other group of customers, or like a new group of customers. I've noticed that some people have come to us specifically for the outerwear or the dresses. And sometimes we'll buy other things, but we're excited to expand there because those have done really well. And I personally wear them all the time. So I'm excited to have more of them in my closet as well. And also, I guess, I don't know exactly what we'll be doing, but hoping to be doing more pop-ups and events here, especially in New York, to reach more customers and just talk about the brand more. But I'm excited for this fall's launches, especially. I think our customers are going to really like them, and hopefully they draw some new attention as well.
Margot, where can people go to learn more about the brand and about you as well? Are you active on any social media?
Yes, we are primarily active on Instagram. So it's just Luxeire, Luxeire_NY. And then our TikTok is just Luxeire. So Luxeire. We just kind of started revamping our TikTok. So that's exciting. Getting some new content there. And then our website, of course, is luxeire.com, Luxeire.com. And we have different pages on our production, sustainability, and a little bit about my mom and myself. But yeah, that's where you can find us. And we're posting new content at minimum like twice a week. So you'll see a lot. And we have a bunch of new launches coming in September and October. So you'll be seeing a lot of content then.
That's great. Margot, it was a pleasure having you here in the podcast.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you so much. This has been great.
This episode was brought to you by BSR Digital. We help DTC brands grow through paid ads and email marketing campaigns. If you'd like us to help your business grow, head on over to bsrdigital.com and schedule a call with us.